and welcome to this session of our Topic 5, Growing Small Firms, where we're going to be exploring size distribution studies. We're going to be looking at both of our learning outcomes together. So by the end of this topic session, you will understand the main conceptual perspectives which researchers have adopted when looking at small business growth and development. The session will also contribute to you having a good grasp of the main evidence of the drivers of small business growth, and in particular the role of internal and external resources and the entrepreneur. So when we conceptualize small business growth, we need to go to the literature, and the research suggests two distinct perspectives. First of all, we can talk about something called size distribution studies, and this is what the remaining of this session is going to be about. These are studies that have attempted to understand the distribution of firm sizes in mainly Western economies, which have clearly reflected issues of firm growth and survival. Secondly, and in subsequent sessions of this particular topic area, we're going to be looking at growth studies. These are studies that are focused on factors that shape the growth of individual enterprises. And within this specific perspective, we'll be looking at life-size models, which are sometimes called stage models, and are an attempt to view the life cycle of a small business as a series of sequential states. We'll also be looking at integrated models, which tend to emphasize the role of the entrepreneur in the development of the business. So for the remainder of this very short session, let's look at size distribution studies. Now, size distribution studies are motivated by the observation that firm size distribution always appears to be log normal. Cressy in 2006 has suggested that this literature has developed over 3 stages of development. So first of all, going back to 1930s, growth was considered to be an entirely random process. Guibert suggested that his law of proportionate growth argued that the normal distribution of firm sizes could be explained by a parameterization where growth was a random proportion of firms' initial size. And you can see this represented on the right-hand side there of your screens of the graph. Early evidence seemed to support this random growth view of the world. But as thinking and research progressed, the question was starting to be asked is the world really this random? Really? Data improvements have allowed other studies, particularly among smaller and unquoted companies, that suggest the distribution of firm stances did not accord to standard Guibert law predictions. And again, as time has gone on, research has developed and the data has become much better. So now we move to a stage in the literature where entrepreneurial talent seems to matter. Jovanich in 1982, for example, develops a model in which firm growth is not random at all, but depends very much on entrepreneurial learning about the market. The way this is set up implies that small firms have less history and therefore less information. They are therefore more likely to make bad decisions and more likely to fail. Similar factors mean that larger businesses grow more slowly and have low variance of growth rates. So we're now at a point where we can start to understand growth distribution studies in quite a different way. We know that entrepreneurial learning is super important as to whether an enterprise grows or whether it doesn't grow. We know this from empirical evidence that we've gathered through research. However, the problem with this research, it's been restricted to advanced and developed economies. It may be that patterns of growth and reasons to why enterprises grow or don't grow are very different in developing nations. Okay, so question time, I think. Is growth a random process, or do you think there's more to it? Reflect on the question, and when you finish reflecting, you can move on to the next session.